Okay, so here we are with a short video for Part C. Part C is asking for 3 combinations of red and black chips using at least one of each color that will equal each value. So I'm going to go ahead and start with number 1. So this will be an example for number 1. Again, I'm using my laptop, so bear with the handwriting. So I need to somehow come up with 0. So I need a value of 0. And if we remember from the previous lessons, we know that every positive cancels out, every one positive cancels out one negative. So here we can just, undo. We can simply add a couple positives. 1, 2 black chips. And then we can add 2 red chips. And this would be a combination that would produce 0. So this is like -2 plus +2 that will give us 0. All right, so that's one example of how to get 0 as an answer. Your student will need to come up with 3. So your student will need to come up with 3 combinations of red and black chips. I gave 1. So now we are looking at trying to come up with the value of +12. And those chips aren't going to cut it. So one possible combination is we could actually go ahead and start from 0 here, and then simply add 12 black chips, 12 more black chips. So this would be a total of, sorry, this is a little hard to do. There we go. I'll just use my finger. So that looks like 10 to me, and that would be 12. So we're going to basically cancel these out, and that leaves us with 6 here, 6 here. That would be a total of 12. So I would need 14 black chips and 2 red chips. So this would be similar to 14 minus 2 is 12, or -2 plus 14. That will also give us 12. All right, so that is one example for number 2. So then now we need to get to -7. For -7, I'm just going to go ahead and lock this, and I'm going to get rid of all of these black chips. And all of these red chips, and just start fresh. So we need to get to -7. So a very boring way to get to -7 would be to simply have 7 red chips, but it does say to use at least one of each color. So we're going to go ahead and enter in 8 red chips. So that is a -8. And 1 black chip, and that will give you a -7. So this is similar to having -8 plus a +1, and that will equal -7. All right, so that's an example for number 3. And then we get to our final one. Again, don't forget, students, you need 3 examples. -125. So here I'm not going to use the chipboard. At this point, that's not going to be functional. So instead, I'm just going to write it like your student would write it. I grabbed the wrong point there, sorry about that. And the way your student would write it would be, let's see, I need 150 red and 25 black. And if you have 150 red and 25 black, you will end up at a value of -125. And I'm going to show you 2 ways that we can prove that. So we have -150 because those are red chips, plus a 25. So we're going to get 25 units closer to 0 from 150, and that will take us to negative 125, which is 25 units closer to 0 than negative 150 is. The other way to show that is to show the black chips first. And if we show the black chips first, that is a positive 25 plus a negative 150. And adding a negative is just like subtracting a positive. So we would start at positive 25. We would use 25 of our negatives to get us to 0. And then the remaining negative movement we would have is 125 red chips. So that would take us to negative 125. So that's part C. I hope you found that helpful.